This is Ben, the car guy, coming to you from Tech. Today we're going to be talking about idle air control, or IAC. As you can see here in this Pontiac Grand AM, the idle air control is located underneath the air intake manifold. On some vehicles they may have it located on different parts of the vehicle, but it should be close to the throttle of the car. And I'll show you how to disassemble the intake manifold. That is this right here. All this, the air filter is right here. This is the manifold. This is the part at the top. You gotta take off these clamps right here, just with the flathead screwdriver. You gotta take it off, and I'll show you how to do it in just one bit. Alright, so you get your flathead screwdriver. That's all you need. On some vehicles you might have like a different kind of clamp, but you know, clamps are usually just flathead screwdriver. So what you want to do, you want to take off this clamp right here, just disassemble it. Once it gets pretty loose, wiggle it a little. You take off this clamp right here where the air filter is. And on this vehicle, it has 3 clamps. It has a clamp here, here, and underneath here, and I'll show you in a bit. So you take off that clamp. Oh, another thing, you want to take off your mass airflow sensor that's located right here. Every vehicle should have one. I think after 2000 they started making mass airflow sensors, and it's important to have it. So you want to disconnect it. Sorry about the noise. You want to disconnect it. Just wiggle it off. Alright, put this aside. Alright, so if you come over here, you look underneath here, there's going to be a clamp that you need to disconnect. It's kind of hard to see, but it's there. You got to loosen that clamp. It's a clamp just like it has on here, just like that. So you want to loosen that up. Once you loosen that up, the whole piece just comes right off. Just gotta wiggle it a little. Be careful not to break anything. You want to disconnect this hose right here. Just pull up. See, it's just a housing for the air. And right here, you got your throttle. See, when you rev up the engine, this just opens, lets air come into the engine, and that's how you get air into your engine. As you can see, it's kind of dirty. You got a little carbon in here. You might want to clean that out once in a while so you don't get any carbon buildup around here. Alright, the next thing you want to do is find your sensor. Now, your sensor should be somewhere around the throttle. This sensor on this particular vehicle is right here. As you can see, it's a sensor right here. You can see that little gap right there inside the throttle. It lets air flow through there when you're on idle. Because when you're on idle, this is pretty much closed because you're not using any, your RPM is low. But you still need a little air on your motor, because if you don't have a little bit of air, your car will just stall out and just turn off. So we need to get, this is just held on by one nut, and I'll get that to him. Get that off. So right here, you're gonna loosen up this bolt. It's a little tight. There we go. You just want to loosen up the bolt all the way so you can take out the sensor and then inspect it to see if you got a sensor problem. And I'll show you how you can do that. Alright. Alright, so once you take out that bolt, put it somewhere where you won't lose it, because it's a special little bolt. You don't want to lose it. Alright, so now you can just pull out the sensor, and this is the idle air control. You just want to disconnect the wire. Just the wire. You just want to disconnect it. You might have a problem with your wiring. You might want to check out your wires to see nothing's disconnected. You know, sometimes, as you saw how I took that off, sometimes this wire can be pulled a little, because when you're driving, sometimes, you know, everything moves in the car. Sometimes wires get cut or disconnected, so you want to look at your wires. Alright. So this is your idle air control. As you can see right here. The idle air control, all it does is this little piece right here moves by electromagnetivity. These copper windings right here, all they do is they make the electromagnetic motor move in or out. The computer sends a signal, and it tells it to move either out or in, depending on if you're like on a stop sign or a red light or something, whatever. It'll open it up a little, so to let a little bit more air into your engine, so your car doesn't idle all bad. If your car idles a lot, you probably have a sensor that's bad. Sometimes they close too much, sometimes they close not enough, and it all has to do with the idle air control. And sometimes you can fix it just by cleaning it around. Sometimes you just have to replace it, and they're pretty expensive. They cost about, for this vehicle, this one costs $90. Some vehicles they cost $50, but they're pretty expensive pieces. So that's what idle air control is, and it's a pretty important piece for your idle. And we're gonna put everything back together now. It's the same process, but in reverse order. You want to connect it. Make sure it's connected good. Put it in there. As you can see, it has a little gap right there. You want to make sure the nut goes in there nicely. Make sure it's nice and snug. Get your bolt. Put it back in there. And just assemble everything back together. You want to make sure this is pretty tight, because if you have it too loose, that can actually make the computer think that the car is on idle when it's not, because it's loose. It's very important to torque this down. I'm not doing it today, but for this video, I'm just, you know, demonstrating right now. You know, it's pretty tight. It's pretty good. Just want to make sure it's not loose. Make sure it's pretty tight, but not too tight that it gets stuck. Alright, that's good. Now, you want to put this back on. Here's the clamp that I was talking about. That sits on the throttle right here. This clamp goes on the throttle. You want to make sure that's nice and snug. Connect all your hoses. Any hoses that you have, it goes into your engine. So that's nice and tight. You want to get your flathead screwdriver, tying up that clamp. Hold on one second. Just tighten that up.
Alright, I'll call you right back.
It's very important that it's nice and snug because you don't want dirty air going into your engine. That's why you have an air filter. It's very important to have an air filter. Once that's tight, tighten up your other stuff. Don't forget to connect your mass airflow connection back up. Very important. Put that back on there. Put that back up. Screw it down again. Make sure it's nice and tight, but not too tight. Put it down over here. And you're done. Alright, so now you learned everything about idle air control, and I hope you can fix your vehicle as well. See you later. And one more thing, stay clean.